Now for a book that's just a little bit different. I have Angi Egan with me here, and she's written a book called Initial Lust. Now that's a really intriguing title, Angi. So what's it about? Where did Initial Lust come from?
It came from the series of Romancing the Customer. And I run the parallels between great business and great romance. Is nothing more complicated than relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I link the whole thing onto a sensory experience. We have 5 senses, and the first sense that captures your attention, either in business or in romance, is what we see. So that whole ka-ching, wow.
That sort of initial,
yeah.
Yes.
And you do initially lust after either the object of your desire, or in a retail environment, it could be, I don't know, the shoes or the pair of dress.
Why did I know you were going to say shoes?
Well, I'm a woman. And I guess if you're a guy, it's going to be a gadget or a car. Mm. But it is, you initially fall in love with what you see. And it is great romance, great business is a totally sensory experience. So that's why I've built it around the 5 senses.
Okay, so who did you write the book for?
Principally anyone who has a product or a service to sell and needs to do it professionally. Because although it is a mischievous and pretty irreverent look at business principles, the message is pretty deadly. Don't take your customers for granted, and look at detail, because detail matters. So it is about becoming obsessive about how you are delivering your services and your products and ensuring it's done in a highly professional manner.
Yes, you do. Now, I love some of your terminology in the book, actually. You talk about something called visual pollution. What's that?
Visual pollution is, I think, it's an epidemic on our high street, where I call it clumsy fumbling. And it's like a visual mumble, where in their desperation to communicate either lots of services that they do or lots of products or lots of offers, instead of choosing one, major on that and then change it every couple of weeks, they bring all the offers out and communicate them all at the same time. And as a customer, I can't choose, I can't see what it is they're trying to talk about. And it undermines my confidence in their ability, because they're jack of all trades. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you're going to read us a little bit from your book, aren't you?
I am, yes. I'm going to look at websites.
Okay.
And I liken, if your website is a first date and your website talks about you the whole time, you're unlikely to get a second date. So that's what we're going to look at on chapter 6.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for coming in, Angi.
Thank you.
So we'll now listen to Angi read a little bit from Initial Lust.
Chapter 6, Websites. There is one simple way to summarise where the focus should be on your website, and it's not about you. Almost without exception, and we'll look at the exceptions, websites are focused on the business and not the visitor or the potential customer. They are no more than an online brochure, and a pretty dull one at that. And the dullness begins with "Welcome to my website." So if the objective of your website is to stand out, be visually stunning, and to appeal to your target customer, to create a differential, then you just fell at the first hurdle. Everyone starts with "welcome to," and that's the equivalent in a date of "do you come here often?" Even worse are the sites who, in an attempt to be right on, present the whole team in an overly matey style. And it's rather like the guy who wears humorous ties or cartoon socks to demonstrate how funny it is. It's not. Websites must provide information about the service or the product. That's why people are searching in the first place. They're looking for the expert, they're looking for the specialist, or the brand that offers them the knowledge and the expertise that they're looking for. And they want it fast. I recently learned that most individuals never spend longer than 0.5 seconds to decide whether you're the one. It's a terrifying statistic, and yet it's quite illuminating too. Because in exactly the same way that you need to create visual impact or a pattern interrupt with your printed material, your virtual marketing needs to create exactly the same impact. Become obsessive about what words people use to find your service and they're rarely what you imagine them to be. But be relevant with your language and content and be up to date. Otherwise, your very shiny, expensive websites become relegated to the BTN category, which is better than nothing. It will be damaging your brand and it will be costing you money. Now, it's critical to point out at this stage that what I know about websites and techie stuff is limited to an instinctive feel only, because I know what works rather than having any real knowledge about SEM or SEO or ISP or any other three-letter acronym associated with IT. For me, it's akin to the dark arts. I know it exists, but I don't want to learn it. I shall, for my benefit, if nothing else, keep it really simple. And it appears there are three main areas to concentrate upon with your website design, and it's nothing more complicated than colour, words and pictures. Now, I know there are men reading this who may think that's typical of a woman to talk about colour, but it's nevertheless true. If people expect your profession, your product or your service to be a particular colour, then it makes sense that that colour or a tone around this, and I know guys don't do shades, so maybe you should speak to a woman, but for example, if I said watering cans or garden material, what colour immediately comes to mind? Green and brown would be my guess. And if I said accountants, you might be thinking dark blue. In either case, you weren't thinking pink.
Thank you, Angie. Some great advice about websites there. So coming up after the break, we'll be hearing from one of our experts on why you should consider writing a book, and I'll be talking to Gemini Adams about her book, Your Legacy of Love.